Salve a tutti, sono Almarok e benvenuti in un nuovo video. Oggi siamo qua per fare un'intervista a Nornagest, noto per essere il cantante e chitarrista degli Enthroned, band di cui abbiamo già parlato quando trattai della storia del loro batterista Kernos, che vi invito a recuperare. Prima di iniziare, io ovviamente ringrazio Nornagest per la sua grande disponibilità, vi invito a lasciare un like, a iscrivervi e vi auguro buona visione. I'm Almarok, I'm here today with Nornagest from Enthroned. Nice to meet you.
Hi, how you doing?
Why you have started to do music and why you have started to do black metal?
Well, it came kind of naturally. Very original answer, I know, but that's the truth. So, I always wanted to express myself in many artistic ways. So, I am a musician, visual artist, and I paint, I draw, I play music, I sing.
Me too.
So, yeah, I saw. Good.
Thank you.
And so it came naturally. I was already playing music years ago. So, and black metal came, especially inspired by one family member that introduced me to that kind of music when I was a little boy. And yeah, I got my interest via my mother and to the occult. So I mixed both. So this is how it all started. So I started playing black metal, but not the way we know it today, but the earlier form of black metal, which would sound more like thrash to us now. When I was, 14, 13, something like that. So, yeah.
Can you talk with me about the last album of the band? He is considered the most dark Enthroned album in front of old works. Why?
Well, when we compose and write music, it's mostly reflecting how we are at that moment, how we feel. Mm-hmm. So everything around us and in us influences us. So with that album, it was really the case. Every single member had a dark period at that moment. So it reflected in our creation, obviously. And the result is what you hear. So, yeah, the lyrical theme was written over time. It was a subject that me and the mentor we wanted really to deal with, like a very anthropological view upon the occult via different cultures, different doctrines, but all reunited as a single one. And yeah, it kind of did fit perfectly well the music that we wrote back then, especially with that dark period. There was a adjustment to the text to fit really our views and the feeling we had at that moment. So, yeah, like not that we ever played happy music, but the last one was a little tone darker. So, yeah, the next one probably as well, but a different kind of darkness.
Enthroned lyrics are influenced from Satanism, occultism, but what is your philosophy about Satanism? For you, have a sense to talk about Satanism in 2023 in front of 90 years?
Well, it's still more or less the same, yet different. Like, it evolves with every single day. And that's a very personal matter, of course. But it's very present. It's not something that we use as a gimmick like a lot of bands or like a lot of people do. Like if they would have never listened to Possessed, or let's say more recently Marduk or Funeral Mist or something like that, they would never pretend to be Satanists or like within the occult. With I can speak for myself and some members of the band. We are living that daily. Like me and my wife are living in that philosophy every day as well. It's very personal, so some details are kept personal, but what I can share shares via the lyrics, of course. And yeah, like I don't, like, it changed a lot. Like compared to, like you said, compared to the early days of the band, we were young and angry. So, so we had that kind of thing anyway, well, it was already there. We were more focused on the occult than how to dismember Jesus Christ for the millionth time. But we were writing more about that because we were so angry about the Catholic Church, and what it represents. But at some point, I decided that's enough. Sometimes I still write one lyric or something when I'm getting a bit that kind of hate again towards them. But it's okay. They know we hate them, so we don't have to repeat it again and again. I prefer to focus on subjects that are more important to me on that matter. So that's kind of getting more mature and evolved in that doctrine. So, yeah.
The evolution of the Enthroned sound. For you, how many things have changed?
A lot of things changed. But one thing that remained the same from the beginning is the why we do this. So that's a conversation me and Zerninos had a lot, overnight, especially when you go to each other's place getting drunk, and we have a tendency to repeat ourselves. So we were always saying the same, we have to do this, that spread the message of our belief system, of our, because the sound is the most powerful way to carry energies. And what can be more powerful than using something as extreme as a black metal or death metal, for example, or classical music, but it's a different kind of extremism. But so that's the thing that remained constant, and of course our belief was still based around the left-hand path, traditional Satanism or keenly. But a lot of things change. For example, I can see, and a lot of people see it the same way. There's 3 chapters in the band. You have the Cernunnos era, then the Sabbatan era, and then the era after that. So a lot of things change. You still hear the Enthroned from before in the background, but of course we evolved. New members come, put their blood in it, their sweat. So of course when you have some new guy writing music with their own style, it's not going to sound like when I was writing alone or when a guy who's not in the band anymore was writing. So that's all those influences, and I insist that the people who join this band put some of their soul in it, because otherwise, what's the point? I know lots of bands don't believe in that democracy or are kind of the Führer in the band. I see it differently. I keep the train rolling. I say what is good or not, but I want every fucking body to put their soul in the band. Then, it's true, it's honest, it's coming from the guts, and those people identify themselves as well with what they're doing, not just following orders.
Future Enthroned projects.
So, yeah. It's been almost 5 years now, or 4 years that we released the last album. So now we've been busy writing the next album for a while. Had to restart from scratch because change of lineup and things. Now the album is almost finished, can be composed, and we should record the album beginning of 2024, January, February. Finally, at last, with a new lineup. Still on Season of Mist, and we have a few projects regarding tours, festivals, etc. as well. And here this month we are gonna release a box set called Hadean, celebrating the 30 years existence of the band, which will regroup the earliest albums with a new mastering, how it was intended to sound, with bonus tracks, so songs that has never been released, and did some corrections here and there because a lot of albums and were released with mistakes, wrong titles. Some people know some songs that by wrong titles, which always annoyed us to the deepest level. So we recalibrated a bit all that for that box set, and it's going to be released end of the month. Unfortunately, not on vinyl. We are trying hard. We were fighting hard to have that release on vinyl, but the label that holds the rights for those albums totally refuses to give the rights to anybody. So, but we were fighting hard to do it. But we did what we could. So, yeah.
If you want to be remembered for an album in your career, Which is?
That's a hard one. I have my little thing for every single one of them, even the least good ones. So I don't know. Like I would say, one is hard, but I would pick Toward the Children of Satan. For several reasons, it's an album who has a certain dynamic, a certain feeling, especially due to the circumstances. It's an album where I could put all the songs I wrote, even including one before I was in Enthroned. One song on that album was actually from my previous band, and yeah, all of that. But I would have a hard time to choose as well with some of the latest albums because, yeah, they're really dear to me as well. So yeah, I don't know. It's a very hard question. I would say each one of them has their place here and there.
What about your relationship with Kernos, and what do you think about is that?
Well, he was my best friend, as simply as that. You know, we were really close, and well, you know, what can you say? You know, like it was his decision. He took matter in his own hands. I respect that. On the moment, I did hate him for it, you know, and but respect his choice because well, he chose himself where he wanted to go, not out of weakness, but just because for some reason that were actually valid, which by respect for the family and everything I will not say, but actually he had some good points. Not that I will say go and kill yourselves. Some I would love to say that to some people, but yeah, in some way he's still a bit around. That's how I feel it, but yeah, as I said, I respect what he did, and yeah, and he was we were quite close, like really good friends.
And I confess, I become a fan of Enthroned after I listened the first of all to Enthroned album. You know,
He had an amazing creativity when it came to composition on drums. That's it. Like he said himself, he was not the best drummer in the world, but he had something else for the rhythms and how to change and patterns and everything. So it was yeah.
Okay. An advice for people like me who won't start to be a musician nowadays. I have my own band with my girlfriend, and for this reason, I want an advice for become a musician nowadays. For me and for other people, young people like me, we won't start now.
If it's a black metal band, well,
yes, a black metal band.
So if it's black metal you're talking about, like I would just advise to be honest with what you do. Talk about what you write about, not because you like it or because it's nice or because voilà. It has to be something that comes from the heart that you believe in deeply and with every fiber of your being, and be honest about it. And that's it. That will be my only advice about it, because yeah, there's so many bands around, so many shits around, so many pretenders that the authenticity of what black metal used to be is something, you know, that almost disappeared. It's not there anymore. So it would be time to take a big shovel and clean up that scene, because then bring back why black metal was there in the first place. So that would be my advice.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for accepting this. Good luck for the new album.
Thank you very much, and good luck for the podcast and everything.
Thank you.
Cheers.